All right, I think I shall start now. Okay, I hope that all of you can see my screen and also hear my voice. Okay. Okay, I see some of you give thumbs up icon there. All right, so this is, I think, a series of EduTech colloquium from my department and my research group, Advanced Learning Technology, ALT, and also research group called SITE. Okay, and then for those who are not from Educational Technology Program, actually you can also hear to this colloquium, and then you will be having the recorded session, recorded all the colloquium session in our YouTube channel. Okay, maybe I can share later on in the chat box, or my student, if you have that channel, can you help me to share the YouTube channel from the research group? I think my students also know well, okay, about the channel where all the colloquium has been recorded and then uploaded in that channel. Okay, all right. So back to our topic today. I actually want to share with all of you here. Actually, we have some students here in the interactive lab. Okay. Nampak sikit muka. Okay, the topic is ensuring coherence in thesis writing, chapter by chapter guide. Okay. I'm actually want to share to all of you because I'm, as an examiner, also as a supervisor, okay, I'm quite frequently ask my student, and then also tell my student that this kind of thing is wrong. And then what is supposedly you write in here, okay? Then come across that I want to share about this one, how to make sure that the thesis that you are wrote is coherent chapter by chapter, and then from the beginning until the end. Okay, I saw here Khairuddin sharing with you the YouTube channel from my research group. Thank you, Mr. Khairuddin. And also for those who are not unmute your microphone, please mute your microphone. Okay. If you have any question, okay, you can unmute your microphone and or even write in the chat box. Okay. After this, we are going to have another two colloquium. Okay. Okay, so all of you here, maybe some of you is master students, some of you is PhD students. Can you write in the chat box there, what is coherent in thesis writing? Why it is important? Okay, why it is important? And what is coherence mean? Okay, try to write. Don't copy and paste from ChatGPT or from Google. Just write what is coherent and why coherence in thesis writing is important. Flow and logic, okay? Ni apa? Okay, consistent logical statement and interpretation, chapters are connected and info flow. I believe that all of the students here understand and then know about this. But when it's come from to write something, and then this things about coherence is suddenly gone. Kan? Tiba dah tak ingat dah apa benda dia. Okay, so your answer is correct. Logic, smooth writing, understanding, clear transition, make sense. Okay, All of this is correct. Okay. Logic. Make the whole essay as a whole. Yeah, correct. Okay. All right. Okay. So why it is important? First, okay. I I want to say that I want to sit, okay, here because the camera is pointing at me, so I need to sit here. Okay, facing these two computer. Okay. All right. A logical flow between section. Okay. So coherence is the transition from chapter 1 introduction to the chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and for the last chapter until the last chapter, which is closure. Some of the student having 6 chapters, some of the student have 5 chapter or 6 chapter. Okay, it depends. Should follow a connected rationale. Okay, each chapter built on the previous one. Okay, means that I saw here your answer is logic, right? Here, logic. So means that it is depends from the beginning. So if from the beginning you are discussing on creativity, of course, until the end, you should discuss on the creativity. Okay? Or even from beginning, you are discussing about the critical thinking. So means until the end, the discussion should be on the critical thinking. Okay? And then why it is important? Alignment of component. Your research objective, research questions, theoretical and conceptual framework is also methodology and also data analysis and the finding. Okay, later on I'll give you example. Okay, number 3, consistent terminology and focus. Okay, key term. The construct variables should be consistently defined and used across all chapters. Okay, this is the important things. Okay, some of the students, the terminology or the words or the terms used in your research is not consistent. Okay, I give you example. Some of the, maybe in chapter 1, you are using creativity. Okay, and then chapter 2, you are using creative thinking. Okay, so when the reader or the examiner read your thesis, it become confusing. It is the word creativity is same with creative thinking. Okay, it looks like a very simple things. What is the difference between the creativity and creative thinking? But in writing a thesis, it a big issue. Okay, you should have the consistent terminology or terms. You are the one who declare which terminology you want to use. Okay, either you want to use, for example, project-based learning. You are using project-based learning, but in a short terms, you declare as PBL, not PJBL. Okay, so it depends on you. You are the one who declared that. But it must be consistent from the beginning until the end. If in chapter 1, you are declared project-based learning as PBL, and then don't in chapter 3, suddenly you write PJBL. So it is a consistency. Okay, it's reflect to the coherence of the thesis. And then next is critical writing structure. According to the guidance on critical writing in paragraph, okay, each paragraph must begin with a clear topic sentence followed by a supporting details, okay, evidence and conclude sentence, okay. Means that in a paragraph, when you jump from one paragraph to one paragraph, it should be have the connection, okay, connection between the paragraph. Okay, so this is actually some of the importance why coherence is important. Okay, I show you example. Okay, I maybe I will respond to that things. Okay, why, what happened if the literature having so many terminology, which one I want to use? So I will answer. Okay, remember me to answer that one. Okay, a coherent thesis allows your reader, okay, especially your examiner, to follow your argument easily. Okay, your research objective, questions, methodology, findings, conclusion are connected logically. Okay, example, if chapter 1 discuss Facebook for learning, but chapter 4 suddenly show a result about Instagram, of course, it breaks the coherence. Okay, you are not discussing on the problem of Instagram, the use of Instagram. You in chapter 1 you use or you discuss about the Facebook. Okay, suddenly it's come when comes to result you discuss about the Instagram. That is the simple thing, the simple things that usually students do. Okay. Next one, another example. Coherent helps align all thesis chapters, of course. Okay. Prevent disjoint or contradict about this section. Example, your RQ asks about critical thinking. Research question is want to study or investigate about the critical thinking. But your finding or section only discuss or even you discuss about motivation. So it is also not a coherence, okay? In problem background, you are discussing about the internet problem in Arab, the internet problem in China, okay? But you are not discussing about the acceptance. Suddenly the objective comes, the words you want to study about the acceptance among the lecturer. But in the problem of background, you are not discussing about the problem of acceptance. Not even the come to the paragraph, the word of acceptance. Suddenly it appears in the objective, which you want to study about the teacher acceptance. So that is one of the example, okay, not having the coherence between the section. Okay. So examiners can easily access whether your answer to your research question, okay, for the coherent, okay, your method were appropriate and interpretation are valid, okay. So I want to show you the connection between chapters, okay. I will go chapters by chapters, okay. Before that, I maybe apologize because my slide is quite wordy, too many things, okay? Too many things I want to share with you because I'm usually or repeatedly, okay, ask my student, asking a question during a Viva session about this, okay? So I hope that this session will be help you, okay, for you to take a look your thesis, your writing, okay? Okay, we go first to the chapter 1. Okay, I give you example. This is my student example. Okay, I just pick up one of the examples. My student thesis. Okay, the effect of authentic learning activities through interaction in Facebook discussion on students' critical thinking and achievement. Okay, my student had already graduated last year. Okay, this is PhD student. Okay, so first, what is important is you need to take a look, okay, very clearly what is the terms used in your title. Okay, your title will be bring until the end, until the last chapter. So take a look here, what is the important term, okay, the variable in this title of this thesis. Okay, so you see here, I'm also jot down and also break down. So the intervention must be authentic learning activities. Okay, so the platform is the Facebook. And the outcomes or the variable, okay, is critical thinking and achievement. I do not study about acceptance. I do not study about the motivation. I'm only study about these two things only. So my problem background, my introduction, chapter 2 and so on, must be discussing on these two things, the variable, okay? And also the Facebook, the authentic learning activities, okay? So as I mentioned, please take a look very clearly your title or your scope of research, okay? So the terms must be discussed thoroughly in your thesis. Don't discuss something not related to your study. Okay? So chapter 1 must align with this by gradually introducing and narrowing down to this exact focus. Okay, so I give you the incoherent example. Again, the thesis title, okay? So you need to imagine. For example, I am your examiner, okay? Or if I am the examiner, of course you are read the title of the thesis first, okay? So when I read the thesis, so I know, okay, this is the thesis title. Okay, I am hoping that the research problem is about this. Okay, you are investigate about this. Okay, so this is the thesis title, the effects of authentic learning activities through Facebook interaction. Interaction in Facebook, discussion on students' critical thinking and achievement. Okay, background of the study. You see here, this is one of the incoherent example. Nowadays, many students face stress in online learning. Of course, this is the problem. Okay, this is the problem. The student face difficulties in online learning, stress, bored, and everything. Okay, the use of Facebook can help them communicate better. In some countries, e-learning is blah blah blah. School did not have strong internet connection, cause students blah blah blah. Okay, also, this is the background of study, the problem. Of course, I'm not saying this is not the problem, but what is the wrong of this statement is, okay, ideas jump from stress to communication to e-learning to motivation. Okay, I'm read this one at the bottom. Okay, what's wrong? No clear focus and not relate to the title. Okay, you are not studying about the stress. You are not studying about the e-learning. You are studying about the Facebook, the social media. Okay? You are not studying about the internet connection. Why you are discussing about internet connection? Discuss about the use of Facebook for the background of study, the use of social media, how social media can help in students' learning. That is the things. Okay, because some of the students said, okay, doctor, I already wrote the problem. Can you read my problem? Yeah, I know this is the problem, but the problem is not related to the title. Okay? And then ends unrelated to critical thinking and achievement. Of course, no statement over there related to the critical thinking and also not related to the achievement. Okay, focus should be authentic learning, critical thinking, achievement. Okay, relate back to your title. Again, your title. Okay, again, I give you incoherent example. Suddenly, this is the title, and then suddenly the objective come. Okay, and then the objective is to examine the students' motivation to use Facebook, to evaluate students' learning style, to study the teacher's perception. Yeah. What is the relation of all these variables with the title? And even you are not discussing in the problem background. Why? The problem background you are stated or discussed about the problem in online learning, the problem of interaction in Facebook, the problem of low critical thinking, the problem of low achievement among the students. Why suddenly you want to study about motivation? You are not focusing on motivation. That is the incoherent. Okay? Also, in a operational example here, I give the operational definition. Okay? Define the terms not in the thesis or not related to your research, such as acceptance, such as engagement. You are not studying on engagement. Why suddenly in operational definition, you have the term of engagement? You need to define the term of engagement. Why? It is not reflected to your study. Okay? So this is on, okay, for chapter 1. Okay, I will give you another chapter. Okay, so this is some of the coherent example. I give you example. Okay, later on I will share this slide. Okay. Okay. Oh, I saw here 65 students. Okay. Okay, thank you for coming to this session. Okay, the coherent example. Okay, I don't want to read, okay, but you can see here. Okay, first one, the paragraph is focusing on the approach of 21st century. Okay, how 21st century will develop the higher order thinking, and then how authentic learning that support 21st century will be meaningful. Okay, and then the second paragraph, they discuss about the integration of the digital tools like Facebook. We have so many kind of tools, technology, Google Classroom, Instagram, Facebook, what else? E-learning, Moodle, Superstar. I know Superstar. Many China students like to use Superstar. Of course, it's okay. Right. So what is the problem in Superstar? You need to write about that. Discuss about that. Okay. And then you can see here also at the bottom, therefore, this study explores what? Okay, this is one of the example. Okay, and then clear progression. Okay, use paragraph, use terms that title from the title clearly. Okay, again, I'm quite frequently ask my students, see your title please. What is your title, scope of research? Okay, and then comes to objectives, of course. Your title again here like this: effect of authentic learning activities through interaction in Facebook discussion on students' critical thinking and achievement. So this two is the variable. Okay, so then objective first, okay, to take a look about the authentic, how it will affect on the students' critical thinking, and then how it affect on the achievement. Okay, the second one. And then the third one is study the relationship between these two variables. Okay, not suddenly comes to the acceptance, motivation, engagement, but you did not discuss in the problem background or even in the title. Okay, so take a look about that. Okay, so chapter 1, introduce and justify all key elements in the title. Okay, again, I'm repeating the word title, or scope of your research. I know that some of you did not have the title yet. Okay, of course, you have the scope of your research. Okay, the title may be decided until you send the proposal or the thesis to the faculty. But it's okay. I know that you know your scope of research. So, for example, the left side of the table, again about the title, authentic learning activities. Okay, how it addressed in chapter 1. I give you example here. Explain in the background. Okay, what are they? Why are they relevant to today's learners? Okay, interaction in Facebook discussion, the rationale. Critical thinking highlighted as a key of the 21st century skill. Academic achievement addressed as an essential outcome. Okay, so this will make your thesis coherent. Okay. Okay, next. Next, we go to the chapter 2. How chapter 1 connected with chapter 2. So now clear about chapter 1, okay? I hope that you are clear. The definition of term, the from problem background. Okay, some of the Viva session maybe take a long time, okay, in the discussing the problem background. That's why when the Viva session or the proposal session, when it starts, okay, the examiner will ask, what is the problem you want to study? Okay, because either the examiner not understand what is the problem. Why they don't understand? Because like this, you discussing about problem A, but the solution or the objective that you want to solve is problem B. So it is different, you know. You discussing about the law of motivation. You are discussing about the low collaborative activity. Suddenly, in objective, you are not solving this problem. You are studying about another problem. That's why the examiner will ask you, what is your problem? Can you explain to me? Okay, so that's why. And then it will drag to maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes to make the examiner clear what is your objective. What is the problem that you want to solve? Okay. Okay, we go to chapter 2. Baru chapter 2 we have 5 chapter. Okay, chapter 2. Okay, now settle chapter 1. Now we go to chapter 2. Okay, again, I bring again the title. Okay, but this only the example. You can reflect to your title or your scope of research. Okay, first, the title again, authentic, Facebook, critical achievement. Okay, I'm repeating these words. Okay, so when go to the chapter 2, what should you write? What should I write in chapter 2? Okay. Do I need to write these things? Do I need to write all about this? Okay. First, again, look at your title. Okay. You need to review every single word's terms, the terminology that you define in OD or you put in your theoretical or conceptual framework in chapter 2. Okay. As this, for example, authentic learning activities, again, having in the title, Facebook, critical thinking, achievement. Okay. So you need to have this kind of discussion or review. Okay, so review of theories and principle of authentic learning. Okay, then literature on Facebook. Okay, the interaction in Facebook. Okay, advantages, limitation, and also about the critical thinking and academic achievement. Okay, these are the things that should be your discussed in chapter 2. Some of your thesis, some of the students, okay, they have the terms in the objective, the research question, and also the title, but did not have even a subtopic in the chapter 2. Means that is lacking somewhere. Okay, so make sure that you have all subtopic in the title, according to the title. How to write the subtopic, what should be in the subtopic, I'm not discussing today. You can refer to my YouTube video in the channel shared by Mr. Khairuddin before this. Mr. Khairuddin, can you share again the link of the YouTube channel? Thank you, Mr. Khairuddin is my student. Okay. So Mr. Khairuddin, can you share again? Okay, you can go to this YouTube channel, and then you can find out several video from the colloquium and also what need to be right inside chapter 2. Okay. For example, you have the authentic learning activities because the authentic learning is in the title. What should be in the authentic learning activities? You can refer to this YouTube channel. It have my video before this related to chapter 2. Okay, you can scrolling and find in this YouTube channel. Okay. Wait, I want to share the chat. No. The attendance. Okay. Okay, you can fill in the attendance, right? Okay, I continue. Okay. What is that? Okay, the definition, importance, critical thinking, achievements, and everything. Okay, make sure that it's reflected to the title, of course. Okay, again, I'm sharing in chapter 2. Okay, in chapter 2, what is important? The main important, okay, is first, all theories or models included in the theoretical framework or conceptual framework should be thoroughly discussed. Okay, I give this example. I have been asked my student Saras, okay, to use her conceptual framework because she is only a taught course student, master taught course student. Okay, so this is her conceptual framework. Okay, for master taught course, usually they not have the theoretical framework. Okay, they only have the conceptual framework. But I believe that all PhD students here, okay, in interactive lab or in WebEx, you have your theoretical framework, right? Okay, all the theories and all the models inside your conceptual framework or theoretical framework need to be discussed here. If your theoretical, okay, I go back here. For authentic learning activities, okay, you are using Harrington, for example. Harrington model, you are discuss or put in your theoretical framework or conceptual framework should be in chapter 2. They have the subtopic on the Harrington. Okay, because the examiner want to know more about Harrington. What is Harrington is about, the literature on Harrington models. Okay, for example, like this. Okay, I give you this example. These students investigate about the online Google Classroom. She is a teacher for the basic computer science. And then she also designed the project-based learning using the gold standard. Okay. And then what are the variable or the dependent variable that she want to investigate is first computational thinking. Second is engagement level. Okay. So the orange part there, okay, is the intervention, and the green or blue in the right side is the dependent variable. Okay, what I mean by the first bullet point, all theories or models included in the theoretical framework or conceptual framework should be thoroughly discussed. Means that all of this inside the picture, you need to make sure exists in chapter 2. Okay, make sure it exists. Make sure you discuss about the gold standard. Make sure you discuss about the computational thinking by Wing. Or make sure you are discuss about the engagement by Fredericks. That is the things. Don't discuss other model. If you discuss other model, okay, good. But you need to compare to the model that you are selected. For example, you have project-based learning. You have several models like, okay, of course, you will discuss about the other model, but stress or emphasize more on this model. I want to know more about the challenging problem or question. What is this mean? The chapter 2 is the place where the reader or examiner like me want to know more about this. I want to know more. What is decomposition? Of course, in chapter 2 is the one chapter where me or myself or as an examiner, I want to know more about decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, because in chapter 1, you did not discuss thoroughly. You discussed in chapter 2. But some of the students did not discuss this. They discuss, I don't know what they want to discuss. Okay, make sure the first thing you discuss all the model inside the theoretical framework and also the conceptual framework. Okay, all dimension. It's normal to repeat. Yeah. Okay, with more explanation. Yeah, of course. All dimension, components or construct within the framework must be explained. I read the second bullet. Along with a systematic review of the literature to justify their selection for your research. As I mentioned before, of course, why you are using PJBL by gold standard? Why you are not using PJBL by author B? Of course, the examiner will ask that one. And then the answer should be in chapter 2. Yes, Prof. Reflect back to my chapter 2. Can you refer to page 48? I've done some SLR. Okay, there's a lot of PJBL model, but okay, it can be proved that majority of the research before implement gold standard, and gold standard is more suitable for the secondary school students. So that is the answer. You can answer the examiner question if the things is located correctly. Of course, in chapter 2. Okay, so I want to know more about we want to know more about the dimension, okay, the behavioral engagement, emotional engagement, cognitive engagement, because in chapter 1 you just write the meaning. Of course, in theoretical framework or conceptual framework, even in this chapter 1, if you are writing this conceptual framework and then below the conceptual framework you have the explanation, right? But the explanation is very brief. You did not compare that model to other models. So where the comparison it is? in chapter 2. You can get the answer in chapter 2. Okay. Some of the students saying that I choose these three. I choose these three behavioral type because this three is frequently investigate in higher education, for example, like that. But you did not show it, okay, explicitly in chapter 2. Okay? And then the examiner will ask, can you show me where is the proof saying that this tree is more frequent or more established other than the other from other researcher. Okay? So that is the things. Coherent from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay? All right. Done. Chapter 2. Okay? We go to chapter 3. Okay, I'm finished at 3:30. Okay, now chapter 3. Okay, settle chapter 1, chapter 2, okay, and then go to chapter 3. Effect of authentic learning via Facebook on critical thinking and achievement. Sorry, I'm used short form there, okay. While writing this slide, okay, I'm trying to imagine you are my student, what I need to explain. Okay, because after this, if you become my student, I'm only giving you this YouTube video. Okay, I no need to explain again. Okay, why it matters? For example, it is located at chapter 1. So the introduction part. What others have found and theoretical lens, okay, the literature, okay, to prove that you want to use. I want to use this model. This model is very good compared to others. I want to use this theory because this theory is very suitable to the higher education student. Where is it located? All the description, all the explanation is located in chapter 2. That is called literature review. And then for chapter 3 is methodology. Okay, how the study will be examined. Okay, and then we go to chapter 3 with the thesis title again. Okay, the effect of authentic learning activities through interaction in Facebook discussion on students' critical thinking achievement. Okay, again, okay. Sorry, I'm repeating the same things, okay, to make sure that you know. Okay, so this is the thesis title. So how to investigate this one? Now I'm completed chapter 1. I'm already discussed the problem related to this, and then the model or theory related to this title. Now I'm going to chapter 3, how to investigate this one. Okay, first you need to know the research design. Okay, to test the effect, the influence, relationship, and everything. Okay, and then you need to know the sample. Okay, who are using the Facebook, which level of students, it is higher education, lower student, secondary, I don't know, it depends. Okay, instrument, and then how to measure the critical and achievement, and then the procedure. Okay, and then the last one is data analysis, the statistical automatic, okay, depending on your method. Okay, this table is very important, very, very important. Okay, you need to have this table when you are when you are writing chapter 3. This table is very important. It will map you from chapter 1 research questions, and then how to get the or investigate all the research question. So who are the sample involved? What instrument that you need to answer that kind of research questions? And also the analysis method. What analysis method is possible to answer that research question? And is it the research method will be answered the research question? Is the instrument is appropriate? Can answer the research instrument. It can answer the research question. So you need to think, and then you can find it, okay, clearly know it when you have this kind of table. Okay, so next is towards the chapter 4. Okay, usually, okay, I'm because I am from the education technology department, and then majority of edutech students, or even from science, chemistry, physics, they have the chapter 4, which is developing something, developing module, developing website, developing VR, developing augmented reality, developing instrument. Okay, so usually my students in my department having this chapter 4, but some of you did not have this chapter 4 for the design part. Your chapter 4 is analysis and result finding. It's okay. Okay, but because this is EduTech bootcamp for EduTech, I giving this also for chapter 4. Okay, so for chapter 4, again, again, what is going to be right in chapter 4, how to write chapter 4, please refer to my video in the YouTube channel. Oh, I promote my YouTube channel. Not my YouTube channel, my research group YouTube channel. Okay, I'm giving the colloquium last 2 semester related to chapter 4. How to craft the chapter 4. Okay, from the theoretical part and also conceptual part to the chapter 4. Okay, so that is the content in chapter 4. Okay, how to make it coherent. Okay, again, chapter 4. So chapter 4, now we have chapter 1, 2, 3. Okay, chapter 1, you have the objective, purpose, problems. Chapter 4, you have theories, model, justification, why you use these theories, why this theory is selected, and so on. And also chapter 3, you have the instrument, procedures, variables. Okay, have clear, coherent from chapter 1 to chapter 3. So now chapter 4, again with the same title, the effect of online project-based learning. Okay, the one with my students Saras. Okay, so this is the title. Okay, this is her conceptual framework. Okay, now, okay, you go here in chapter 4, you need to know that the framework used. Okay, the framework used is PJBL from but for this is from the gold standard. But we have so many PJBL model. Okay, like Larmer. Okay, so there are so many model, but the Saras is from the Bug Institute. Okay, so it is aligned with the theory or model in chapter 2 or even chapter 1 in conceptual framework. Okay, learning goals linked to the component CT. Okay, computational thinking component, where the computational component has been discussed in research questions and also the research objective. Okay, activity design. Okay, I'm write it here, match or must be, take a look again with your conceptual framework or theoretical framework. Okay, so here, this one. Okay, you need to show where is the challenging problem, where is the sustained inquiry, where is the authenticity. Okay, because this one you declare in chapter 1 and also in chapter 2 you are discuss more about this Bug Institute, PJBL from Bug Institute. So of course, in chapter 2 you are discussing what is sustained inquiry, what is authenticity. Of course, in chapter 4, me as an examiner, I want to see where the element of the authenticity. Okay, the authenticity in your thesis. In chapter 2, you are discussing the authenticity based on the definition, based on the literature. But in chapter 2, I want to see where in your research, where it is applied when you are collecting the data. Because now you are claiming you are used PJBL by Bug Institute. Of course, you need to have all the 9 elements by Bug Institute in chapter 4. Okay, so align also the features for Google Classroom. Because you are using Google Classroom, right? In theoretical framework here, conceptual framework, online Google Classroom. So where is it? That is the coherent between the chapter 4 and chapter 1 or 2. Of course, in chapter 2, you have the subtopic on Google Classroom and then you discussing about the Google Classroom. But where I want to have the proof on this? So of course, it is located in chapter 4. Some of the student, for the master student, they are writing in chapter 3. It's okay, but you have this section, okay, about the development of the activities. Okay. Okay, and then ties back methodology implementation back. Okay, ties back to the methodology in chapter 3 for the implementation. For example, chapter 3, you are writing and claim that you have 4 weeks, 4 weeks of intervention. For weeks 1, you have the algorithm phase. Week 2, you have the composition phase. Okay, that is chapter 3. So in chapter 4, I want to see the detail of that. How the decomposition phase is actually implemented. That's why I'm writing here, ties back to the methodology in chapter 3. Because you claim in chapter 3. And then chapter 4, I want to see. Where is it? How? How the decomposition phase conducted? How the algorithm phase? For example, like that. Okay? And then chapter 5, data analysis and findings result. Okay. Now you have chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Okay. Chapter 1, you have research objective. Chapter 3, you have variable. Chapter 4, this chapter 4, this one, I'm as an examiner very clear now. Oh, this is how the students conduct the authentic learning activities. How the students conduct the collaborative learning in Superstar. Okay, so I have the idea now until I read in chapter until I read the chapter 4. Now I want to know more about the result. So how about the result? Okay, and then what should be you remember when writing chapter 5 is should not introduce new concept. Not introduce new concept. Okay. Reports what's the data show. Keeping everything tightly linked to the research questions. If your research questions in chapter 1 identify about the effect, make sure in chapter 5 you are reporting about the effect. Don't suddenly reporting about the relationship because you are not stated relationship in chapter 1. That is what students answer to me during the viva. Oh, doctor, because when I run the data, I saw that they have the relationship. So I want to report the relationship. Hey, you are not declared. You are not even declared in chapter 1. Why suddenly it appears in chapter 5? Unless you change the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 until chapter 5. So it's okay. This is usually happen to the student. Some of the students suddenly having about the for example, you have three kinds of engagement. Suddenly you have four dimension. So it is different. Okay. In the conceptual framework, you only have 3 engagement: behavior, affective, psychomotor, for example. Okay. Suddenly in chapter 5, you have another engagement. When I or other examiner, why you have this data, where this come from? Oh, it is come from the instrument. Okay, doctor, when I run the data collection, I think it should be there. I need to investigate this. Okay, but you are not even declared in chapter 1. Okay, we have already discussed 1.5 hours from chapter 1 until chapter 4. And then after that, suddenly you have the part of another engagement. Okay, that is not coherent. Okay, this is usually happen. Okay, all right, chapter 5. Okay, overview, of course, reflect to the chapter 1, data analysis, reflect to the sample. In chapter 3, you said that your sample is 30. Suddenly, in data analysis, you have 35. You know that the examiner really particular about this. They will easily identify this one, you know. In chapter 3, you said that you only have 30. Why suddenly in your chapter 5 having 35? And then you say that, oh, suddenly all the students can involve. That's why. Okay. You need to change in chapter 3 saying that you have 35. That's why. That is what happened. That is usually happen. Okay. Result for RQ1. RQ1 directly linked to the objective. Okay. Oh, again, data analysis. Okay. I give you another one. Okay. Example. The example of the not coherent. Okay, in the chapter 2 or chapter 1, you are mentioned, for example, like this, the Sarah's one. Okay, Sarah study about the engagement level, which is focused on these 3 engagement, for example. So make sure the data analysis is reflecting to these 3 things only. Okay, don't add another engagement suddenly. Okay, if you want to add, of course, you need to change from the problem background, theoretical framework, operational definition, chapter 2, and so on. Okay, so focus only these 3. Okay, the instrument also should reflect to that 3. Okay, all right. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, directly linked to the objective 1, activities design in chapter 4. Okay, this one, you need to discuss the result and then according to the RQ you stated in chapter 1. Okay, make sure. Because I know after you present proposal, you are not even focused on your writing. Okay, you are already forgot what you are writing in chapter 1. Okay, and then you continue data collection and you get the data and then you write all the data, you discuss and then you report all the data. But you forgot that you have been writing your chapter 1 and forgot to change. Okay, to change if you having a new things in chapter 5 or 4 for the data, for the reporting of the data. Okay, so make sure it align. Okay. And the last one, okay, maintaining coherence until the end, okay, and showing how the entire thesis forms a unified and logical whole. And then this is the very important part, okay, because some of the students, as I said, after data collection, they are forgot what actually they wrote before. Okay, and then in chapter 6, they are come with the new things. Okay, not relate back even with the theoretical framework or with the conceptual framework or even with the literature in chapter 2. Okay, so this is the last discussion, conclusion, recommendations. Okay, interpret findings, connect back to your objective, relates to the literature, and then suggest future action. Okay, chapter 1, again, objective and research question. Chapter 2, theoretical and empirical. Okay, everything models, you need to write, discuss, compare with others doing SLR. Okay, that is in chapter 2. Chapter 3, you need to explain about the implementation, what activities will carry out. Okay, and then chapter 4, what are the design of activity if you are using AI. So please show us where is the AI part is come in. Okay, what are so special with your learning activities that integrate AI? I want to know. But suddenly no explanation about that. Okay, and then chapter 5, what was found. Okay, it is reflected to data analysis. Okay, summary of study, brief recap of problem, objective method. Okay, directly aligns with chapter 1, 3, and 5. Discussion of finding. Okay, look here. I'm bold and make it a red color. Okay, first, when you discuss the discussion, make sure you apply back or bring back the theory and model from the theoretical framework or in the conceptual framework in chapter 5 or chapter 6, okay, relate back, okay, about the theory that have you been selected. Okay, that is point number 1. Point number 2, use literature from chapter 2 to support the finding. You do SLR. You compare the model with other model. Why? Suddenly in chapter 6, they are everything new. Where is your data from the chapter 2? Okay. And the third one, reflect the learning activities designed in chapter 4. Remember, I'm told you just now, chapter 4 is reflecting the intervention. You need to explain the intervention. Of course, when you write the discussion, you need to reflect what the intervention did you apply in your research. Okay, I give you example. I give you example here. Okay. Um, this is about the computational thinking improve significantly. Okay. For example, Sarah's thesis, okay, again, my student, okay, showing that students' computational thinking, CT, is improved significantly, okay, after the PJBL, okay, because she used PJBL, she used the Google online classroom, okay, to support or to increase the computational thinking. Okay, so the finding is students' computational thinking improved significantly, especially in abstraction and decomposition. Because again, I'm showing this. This one. Okay, the right side, the blue and the green color, computational thinking. Okay, from wing, there are 4 construct dimension or elements. Okay, from Sarah's thesis, it showed that the abstraction and decomposition showing the significant, the most significant after doing the intervention. Okay, that is the finding. So what need to be discussed now for the last chapter? Okay, because you want to convince the examiner. I am your examiner. Okay, think I am your examiner. You want to convince me. Okay, so first, what you need to write? First one, you see the first paragraph. This align with Brennan's and Resnick framework, which highlight the decomposition as a key of CT skill. The findings support studies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that is subtle. Okay, you are cited another research. You are cited another research that having aligned or similar, okay, with your finding. Okay, that is number 1. Okay, the PhD or the master part, okay, comes in the second and third paragraph. You see that the red sentence I bold there. Okay, I read the statement. In this study, the first PJBL activity involves students working on the challenging real world. You remember the figure from Sarah saying that the first activity is the challenging students, right? Okay, and driving question, which required them to break down the task, identify essential components, and propose step-by-step solution. This process inherently nurtured core ICT elements as a composition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm bold there, PJBL principle conceptual framework in chapter 1. Details explanation in chapter 2. Okay, so the sentence is reflecting this. You see the number 1, challenging problem or questions. So the finding of the the computational thinking is maybe from these elements. Okay, when you apply these elements in your research and then you are having the more explanation in chapter 2 and you prove where the challenging problem in chapter 4, that's why the CT increase. Okay, this is called coherent. You are bringing back the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 4. Okay, and then another one example. Furthermore, the interactive features in Google Classroom, such as question post tool, okay, comment collaborative, blah, blah, blah. This constant interaction encourage metacognitive reflection and comparison of problem-solving approaches, further enhancing their computational thinking. Okay, this is also reflecting to the GC. the Sarah's figure here. Marah Sarah. Saya sebut nama dia je. Tapi saya dah cakap dengan dia dah, saya nak guna. The first one. Online Google Classroom. This is located in her conceptual framework. And also her further explained in chapter 2. What is so special with the Google Classroom? Okay. So the feature in Google Classroom might be the factor influence the the computational thinking increase. Okay. All right. That's all. Okay. So that's all from chapter 1 until chapter 6. Okay. Later on, I will give this video to my student. I no need to explain again. Okay, summary. Okay, a well-structured and coherent thesis often receive fewer correction. Of course. Okay, because the examiner understand the logic flow from the beginning until the end. Okay, it will get fewer correction. Okay, then without coherence, even a well-researched thesis may appear confusing, disorganized, or incomplete. Okay, confusing me, confusing all the examiner. That's the things why you need to avoid the coherent, need to avoid the incoherent. Okay, to make sure that your thesis is coherent from chapter 1 until chapter 6 or chapter 5. Coherence transform your writing from a series of section into a unified scholarly work. Okay, I'm usually tell or inform my student it's like a circle. It's like a circle, you know. From the first chapter 1, you discuss about this, about the project-based learning, why computational thinking is lack, why achievement in computational in science computer is lacking. And then when it comes for the last chapter, it will close. Okay, close will be the closed circle. Okay, so like that. Okay, the last one, a coherent thesis is one where each chapter naturally flows from the previous one, all focus on answering the same research question and fulfilling the same objective. Okay, make sure it reflect back to your research question and your objective. Okay, all right. Okay, I think that's things. All right, that's all from me. Thank you. Okay, I give you time. If you have any question, you can write in the chat. Okay. First and another things. Okay, don't forget to fill in the attendance, and then to subscribe our site research group channel. There's a lot. There's a lot of video. You know, when I become an examiner. Okay, when I become an examiner, and then I found that these students, I believe these students did not come to the EduTech bootcamp because this topic has been covered by Prof. blah, blah, blah. For example, by Prof. Zaida. Why? Why the students did not watch this video? When you watch the video, for example, doing thematic analysis, you refer to the video by Prof. Zaida, for example, in the YouTube channel. So you can get the answer. You can get the idea how to analyze. And then when you come to the Viva, of course, the correction part is minor. That's why we as a lecturer here or supervisor here trying to help you, give you support program. So many support program we give you, especially for the students, remote student from China, or you are even in Malaysia, but you are not staying in Johor, or in 4ODL program. I know some of the students here, you are not in Johor, in UTM, but we provide you with very useful video. You can take a look one by one. Please, okay, refer back to the video inside the channel from my RG, okay? Okay, do you have any question? Okay, do you have any question? Mana tadi saya nampak question? I have this issue with using academic honesty and academic integrity Okay, I think this is the questions. Okay, okay, you have a confusing because I'm told you just now. Okay, at the beginning, chapter 1, you need to have the consistent terminologies. Okay, first of all, check with literature. Which one is the most frequent? That is number one. Check also the definition. Which definition is reflect with your research? Maybe academic honesty, the definition is like this. Academic integrity is like this. Which one is reflect to your research or near to your research? So select that one. If you are selecting that one, please define in operational definition. And of course, you will discuss more in chapter 2. Okay? More in chapter 2 about these terms. Okay? I'm also having a variety of terms in science because my degree is in chemistry. The terms is misconception. What else? Misconception, problem. We have so many terms related to misconception. So I'm using misconception. So I need to declare that, and then I need to show the research related to the misconception terms. Okay, maybe the misconception terms is more related to mine. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Thank you for insightful. May I question? Performance. I want to examine performance, but two additional variable as a positive factors through interview. Maybe yes, maybe not. Okay, it depends. It depends later on. Don't worry about the title actually. Okay, the title, the final title will be defined or will be declared when your viva is end. Okay, but this is my opinion. You need to discuss with your opinion. You need to know different field. Okay, different supervisor having a different point of view. Okay. But I think, I do not know either the factors you want to find is the major or the important things in the research question. It is the major terms or major finding in your research question, or it is just an additional one. If for me, it is the additional factors not contribute to the main research question, so I suggest it is not to be put in the title. Okay, but this is my point of view. You can discuss with your supervisor. Okay. And I found that content in chapter 1 is kind of repeated in literature review. I am little confused about chapter 2. And I found that content in chapter 1 is kind repeated in literature review. What is being repeated? Is it in theoretical framework? If in theoretical framework or in conceptual framework, I did not say that is repeated, because in chapter 2 you are discussing in depth the definition, the example where it is being implemented, and then the literature on that model. In chapter 1, in theoretical framework, you just have a brief description on the model, and then you need to justify why you want to use the model. I don't think it is repeated in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Part of wrote is repeated in the, this one, is it? Part of what I wrote is repeated in the chapter throughout chapter 2, but in the second chapter is more. Yeah, correct. Correct. Yes. Thank you for thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Don't forget to fill in the attendance. Don't forget to subscribe the Site Research Group YouTube channel. I believe that you can get so many useful video, okay, from this YouTube channel. Okay, in the lab, do you have any questions? Faham ke? Okay, so I hope that, okay, when you go back, if you are just preparing your proposal, 1, 2, 3, okay, you imagine that you are the examiner, okay? And then you can see, oh, in chapter 1, I wrote about this one. How about chapter 2? Do I wrote the same things? Do I discuss in depth the one that I'm focused in chapter 1? Or did the new variables come in? Okay, so take a while, focus on that one. How we want to create a good research question. Research question must be research question or objective. Okay, must be followed the SMART, SMART. It must be can be measured, SMART. Okay, you can read about that one. SMART. Okay, if you don't have questions, okay, I will upload it. Okay, my teammate will upload this video to the YouTube channel, and I also give the link, okay, to download the YouTube, to download my notes. Okay, so I wish you everyone good luck. Okay, good luck in your study. If you don't, if you have any question, you can ask me. Okay, you can join this colloquium, EduTech colloquium, even you are not from EduTech background or from EduTech program. Okay, we have another two colloquium, if I'm not mistaken. First is related to the publication from as Professor Dr. Shafi'i, and another one is from Dr. Zaliha, Associate Professor Dr. Zaliha Abdullah. She will, if I'm not mistaken, she will cover about the detail of chapter 3, this part, this table, this table. Okay, how to map this one. Okay, right? So I think that's all from me. Okay, bye-bye everyone. Good luck. Bye semua.